Okay, we're moving on. So we've done simple interest, which that formula solves for interest. Then com we've done account balance with simple interest. In other words, finding the account balance after you've calculated the interest for simple interest. Now we are moving to compound interest. So today I can calculate using the formula for compound interest. Okay? We're going to look at our mathematics chart first. Here it is. Remember down here, this was simple. Okay, and this is compound. So it's under additional information. You have Pythagorean theorem, you have simple interest, you have compound interest. All right. Now, the difference in the formulas, if you notice, there's a difference. So let's start out by defining compound interest. Compound interest is interest calculated on the initial payment initial principal, and also the accumulated interest of previous periods of a loan or deposit. I know that I'm going to say it together because I kind of, when you say it all slow like that, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Compound interest is the interest calculated on the initial principal and also the accumulated interest of previous periods of a loan deposit. So in other words, you never want to buy anything with compound interest, okay? And the reason that you don't want to buy anything or have a loan with compound interest is this. Year one, let's say you have $1,000 in a savings account, and let's say you earned $20 that year, first year. So now you have 1,020. Then your interest is calculated based on 1,020 for the second year, not 1,000. Okay, whereas a simple interest loan, it's based on that 1,000. If you paid 5% interest, you would pay that 5% interest on that 1,000 every single year that you had the loan. Okay, so it doesn't get bigger, all right, based on because the interest isn't added back into the loan, all right? Whereas when you are trying to earn money, like investments, you want compound interest because your money is growing and they're paying you interest on that amount that it has grown also, not just the principal. And I know that's kind of complicated, but just know, compound interest is great for investments, horrible for loans, okay? And most loans are not compound interest unless you go to the loan chart, probably. All right, compound interest formula. So let's look at it. Here's your formula right here, okay? So we're going to write it out. A equals a P, which is not for perimeter, even though it's a big P. I know, heaven forbid Texas do anything that makes any sense. 1 plus r to the power of t. Before they decided to add that big P in your formulas up there, P has always been principal, okay? Interest formulas and principal, all right? Don't ask me why they decided to put it in your surface area formula as perimeter, okay? So you just got to know the difference. If I'm dealing with surface area, big P is perimeter of the base. If I'm dealing with interest, it's principal. Okay, so let's talk about these parts, okay? A is the amount in 1 year. 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 the account, or what we want to call the ending balance. The account balance at the end of the term. The term meaning is how long, okay? P is the principal, which we have talked about, but we will continue. The initial amount of the loan or the deposit, okay? R is the percentage rate, and we always need to convert to a decimal because it will be given to us as a percent, okay? T is time, and we've talked about this. We always have to have time in years. And just as a reminder, to convert time from months to years, it's months divided by 12 gets you years. Okay? All right. So let's try a couple of these. First thing, let's write down, we know we're doing compound only today, so let's go ahead and write our formula down. A equals P times 1 plus R to the power of T. Okay? So Kale invests $1,200 into a CD that has a 3.1% rate compounded annually. That's the other thing. If it is simple, it may not say simple. But if it is compound, it will say compound. Okay? That word will be there before you're going to use this formula. If he does not make any withdrawals or deposits, how much will his total investment be at the end of 4 years? Total investment meaning how much is in his account ending balance. So, principal $1,200. His rate is 3.1%. And his time is 4 years, and it is in years. So I need to convert this right here. 3.1, I'm going to make sure that my calculator has been cleared. All right. And I am going to convert 3.1 divided by 100. And I get 0.031. Now, I can put my calculator back on 2 since I'm dealing with money. And I can go to mode and go down to float, put it over on 2. It's going to give me to the nearest cent. Okay, second and quit. I'm going to come here and fill in my stuff. I'm solving for my account balance. So A equals, my principal is 1,200. You must have parentheses around this. And it's a 1 plus my rate, 0.031 to the power of 4. And yes, you must write it all out. So I have 1,200, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.031, close parentheses. And this is where you're going to have to use your power up button or your Chinese hat right over here, to the power of 4 years, and I'm up in exponent land, so I need to arrow out of exponent land and hit enter, and there it is, 1355.86. Okay, so you earn more when it is in compound interest. All right. And you would pay more if it was a loan. Okay, so if I had not put it in this, I wouldn't get it rounded like that so nicely. So you either need to learn to round or change it to that. So there again, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to mode. I'm going to go down and change. And when it highlights float, I'm going to hit enter, hit second and quit, so that I'm good to go for my interest. Okay, example 2. I'm going to write my formula. A equals P parentheses 1 plus R to the power of T every time. Okay? Maria wants to save up for her daughter's wedding. she deposits $1,000 into a savings account for 5 years. So I've got 1,000 so far, and I've got time, 5 years. The rate is 5% compounded annually. 5%. So I've got to come over here and do my 5 divided by 100, and I get 0.05. Okay, so now I'm ready to, what would be the total amount at the end of 5 years? So they're asking for the account balance. Okay, they're not asking for how much interest, they're asking for the account balance. So I have A is equal to 1,000 times 1 plus the rate is 0.05 to the power of t. All right, I'm not good at rounding, so I'm going to go to mode, and I'm going to come down, and I'm going to highlight 2, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to hit second and quit. And now I'm going to put in my 1,000 parentheses 1 plus 0.05 parentheses, hit my arrow up key to the power of, oh, I didn't need a T. Well, nobody said anything, and I blew it. So it's to the power of 5 years. Okay, time is 5 years. I can't put a T in my calculator. Yeah, I know, I'm blonde. Okay, so I've got 5. I'm going to arrow out of my exponent land, and I'm going to hit enter, and it gives me 1276.28. Okay? All right, let's continue. All right, so I see compounded, so I'm going to go ahead and write my formula. A equals, what is it? P parentheses 1 plus r to the power of t. And you notice nobody did anything for you, so I'm going to put P equals r equals t equals. Okay? I'm just going to make this nice and simple and keep myself in a pattern so I don't blow it. Purchased a boat for $25,950. He took a loan out for the amount and paid it off in 3 years. Woo, that guy must have been making some money to pay $26,000 off in 3 years. The loan's rate was 7.2%. I can see why he wanted to pay it off in 3 years, because 7.2% loan is high. All right? A lot of you, when you buy your first car, though, are going to pay a terrible interest rate. Let me tell you, they'll get you. That would be total amount that he paid for the boat. So we want to know what would be the total amount. So that is compounded. Oh, he's paying compounded interest on top of it to buy a boat. What an idiot. All right. Anyways, let's put our parts in. I've said enough. $25,950 parentheses 1 plus, oh, I hadn't figured out my rate. Let's see, mode, I am on 2, so I need to change it to float. Okay, second and quit, and I've got 7.2 divided by 100, and I'm going to have 0.072. See, if I'd left it on 2, it would not show me that 2. It would have just shown me 0.07, and I'm going to get my answer wrong. Okay, so 0.072 to the power of 3 years. Okay, so put all this in my calculator. Now I want it rounded to the nearest cent, so I'm going to hit mode, and I'm going to see, I'm going to highlight float, and I'm going to hit enter. No, I want 2. I'm sorry. I want it to go to the nearest cent. Hit enter, hit second and quit, and I'm going to put in 25,950. Open parentheses, 1 plus 0.072 to the power of 3. Get out of exponent land and hit enter. So, for a $26,000 boat, even in just 3 years, this would cost him $31,968.46. Okay? That's awful. So he would have paid $6,000 in interest in just 3 years. Most of us can't afford that kind of stuff, all right? Let alone that. Let's see, divided by, I want to see something, divided by 36. His payments on that boat are $888 a month. Woo! He better be making some money, but if he was making that much money, then he shouldn't have to pay that kind of interest. Anyways, you try it down here. Make sure you show all your steps, show your teacher, make sure you're boxing your answer. Today, when you get to your practice for compound interest, you need to do all your steps. You're going to find for the account balance every time. I don't see anything that's not compound. We try and get you just to practice that. All right? And so have a great day.